For myself, or sometimes even Bill leading it, and you really only get to talk to, one person. So this is a chance to, get to know some of the other team members, and then, of course, get any of your questions answered as you're thinking about doing, whether it's the full immersion web development, whether it's the part-time or even, the data science classes. So what we'll do to start is we'll do a quick intro from each of our team members. And then, we'll turn things over to you guys. And if you have questions, of course, you can feel free to unmute yourself. Raise your hand is always an easy one. And we can kind of, then people don't end up speaking over each other. Or, if you're unable to, hop on a mic and take the camera and turn the camera on, then you're more than welcome to, of course, type your question into the chat, and we'll make sure to get that taken care of as well. So I will just quickly introduce, my name's TJ, and my role here is, Career Services Director, but it also encompasses admissions and a little bit of marketing and a lot of conversations with our employer partners and alumni to make sure that the students are best prepared for the job search. So I will turn it over to, I think Scott was on first, so I'll let him introduce himself, and then what we'll do is we'll go Scott, Cody, Tim, Zia, and Cass.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Scott. I've been with LearningFuze for a little over 6 years. Filled many roles at LearningFuze. My main role, though, is I teach in the full immersion, remote, and in our part-time program. So, and then I do some behind-the-scenes work with development-related stuff, admissions, and other miscellaneous things like that. I think that's about it. On to Cody.
Hello, I'm Cody. I'm one of the instructors at LearningFuze. You would usually see me if you take the full immersion class, and specifically the in-person version. So I usually lead the first half of the course, the first 7 weeks of the 14 weeks. And my whole shtick is all the fundamentals, all that deep dive, main special stuff that everything else is built off of. So my primary focus in the curriculum is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I'm specifically in the core languages. So we do additional tools on top of that later, but the first half of the course is just all the main languages themselves and trying to understand the tools that make them up. I've been with LearningFuze for a little over 3 years now. And then I've been coding for about another 6 to 8 months before that. So yeah, I love these languages, and I love learning about or talking about the fundamentals and what makes all this stuff tick. So I'm hopefully I'll get to see some of you guys come and join us in the future. This is my passion. I love teaching. I love code. So yeah, good to see you guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Tim Davis. Around here, they call me Tim D. I actually have been with LearningFuze for about 2 years now, and I'm currently in charge of the full immersion and part-time program web development curriculum. So I've had a very big hand in working on that stuff and then collaborating with the instructors on making refinements over time as we discover better strategies for teaching things. I'm a self-taught full stack developer. I've been doing it since about 2011, something like that. And I also, like Cody, am very passionate about teaching, and I'm also very passionate about code. In fact, after this, I'm going to get back to my side project. Good to see everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Is it Cass going or is it me?
Oh, I thought I was going after you, Zia.
You can go first, Cass.
Okay, sure.
I think you joined before me.
Sounds good. All right, I'm Cass, and I'm the program coordinator at LearningFuze, your initial primary main point of contact with me is through admissions or emails, but I also help with social media marketing, as well as helping TJ with career services. So like resumes, I'll help you with your to reconstruct your resume for the tech industry. And then I also help with student engagement too. So like we have lunch and learns. We actually have one coming up tomorrow with one of our previous alumni and instructor, Uzair. So that's super exciting. And we also play games on some Fridays and Saturdays as well. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. So my name is Zia. I am actually been with LearningFuze for a few months only. So I'm kind of new to the team, but I have been in the. Thank you, guys. I have been in the field of data science for many years. Actually, when I say that I've been in the field of IT for about 20 years, I feel very old after that. So I am not going to say that. But I've been in data science since it started, which was kind of in the era of 2010, 2012. I've been slightly involved with that. And I don't know, TJ knows this fact, but in 2012, Harvard Business actually called data science the sexiest job of 21st century. So as soon as that article came out, I said, sign me up and I'm not leaving. So that's a little bit about me. I've been teaching data science at different boot camps for the last 5 years or so. And I do see a couple of my students here. So welcome, guys. And looking forward to meeting everybody else also. Belle?
Hi.
Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Zia. You know, we definitely always, I mean, we're all chasing, you know, the sexiest jobs in America, I think. So it's the way to go, right?
That's
we are
right.
in,
Yes,
you know, we some of us are in that. Oh gosh, did my
You're back.
thing
You're
get
back,
frozen?
TJ. You're back.
Okay, I'm
There you
back.
are, you're here.
This is weird. I'm at the facility. I was gonna say I noticed some people from data science classes, from coming into the full immersion and the part-time as well. And obviously we have some visitors too who are kind of in the very introductory stages. So kind of wanted to open things up now and see if anybody had questions, questions about the instructors themselves, questions about the program, that you're heading into, LearningFuze in general, or, tech and, kind of making this career change. It's pretty much free reign and fair game with just about any question. Now, if we have to rein it in, we will, but hopefully you guys can tell that we like to have fun, but at the same time, when it comes to tech and career changes, we take that stuff pretty seriously. So does anybody have anything that they wanted to kick things off with?
Hello.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hi. So I just want to ask that the part-time web development and the full-time full immersion program, I see that the curriculum is pretty much the same, but the cost is quite different. And then I mean that so compare because I was with the LearningFuze like from last year, but I have not had the time to attend the course, and compared to the curriculum from last year, I see that PHP has been omitted, and we added the new module of AWS, the Amazon Web Service, or somehow into the part-time program. I mean, so what justify the price difference between the part-time and the full-time, and in that chain? Yep.
Yeah. Scott, do you want to take this one, or do you want me to jump in?
Well, I can speak to that a little bit. You could correct me on anything I'm off on, but the price actually is not that different. If you actually add up doing all 3 modules, it comes out to a similar price, especially after you include all, the typical discounts everyone gets for the full immersion and the part-time. They balance out pretty close after discounts. And it's intentionally built that way that there is not a large price difference.
Yeah, that's the main one, is that really there isn't a huge difference. The other thing that you might notice as well between the full immersion and the part-time is that there's actually a few additional discounts that you can qualify for with the full immersion. So that actually brings the average cost down to about 12,500, I believe it is, for most students who are coming in. And then the other thing that we wanted to do too is with the full immersion, this is essentially everything that you're doing for 14 weeks. So it is a little easier to stay focused. We are able to essentially kind of get extra hands-on and support, as needed. Now, there's definitely no shortage of support in the part-time, but, as Scott, and the team experience, because people are balancing this with their day-to-day jobs, maybe family life and stuff, as well, people just aren't reaching out nearly as much. So part of that balance is, to take a little bit of the pressure off of you, because we also know that you aren't, once again, fully focused on this right now. It could just be something that you're looking into, or maybe even upskilling at your current company. So, and then circling back to, PHP, Tim, I don't know if you want to talk too much about that, but just to put it lightly, PHP has been struggling for the past couple of years.
Yeah, so removal of PHP was a deliberate strategy. We primarily teach JavaScript because, we teach React, and you got to know JavaScript really well to get into React. And learning the back end is more about learning concepts like how do clients and servers talk to each other? What is HTTP? Stuff like that. How does a back end application talk to a database? And because our goal is to teach JavaScript at such a high level, shoehorning in an additional language has really limited the level of concepts that we're able to teach. So the strategy is that as students get more and more comfortable with their JavaScript skills, they can take their knowledge of the JavaScript programming language and apply it when they're learning back-end concepts. And that way you're not thinking so much about the language and more about the concepts. So yeah, it's a very specific strategy. I like PHP. PHP is fine. You can build really cool stuff pretty quick in PHP, but you have to learn PHP. So yeah, we're putting our eggs in the JavaScript basket, and always bet on JavaScript is my motto. So
yeah, and Scott can probably talk a little bit more to this, but when we first built the program, there wasn't much Node involved, and Node hadn't had much use in the market yet, and hadn't really been adopted. It's a little easier for companies to make switches of front-end technologies because there's less risk involved, whereas back-end technologies are a little bit harder to switch between. So what you will see when you're looking at a lot of job descriptions is JavaScript is pretty much going to be there on the front end. React, kind of ekes it out with Angular and TypeScript. But when it comes to back-end technologies, you could see anything from Java to Python to C#. And, at the end of the day, a lot of the conversations that I'm having with companies is that their newer development and newer projects are happening with Node in the back end. So why not simplify things a little bit, as Tim mentioned, stick with JavaScript and let you dive into the fundamentals. But I don't know, Scott, did you have anything to add about, kind of when we taught PHP and, what it was like back then?
Yeah, I mean, when the program first started, PHP was definitely prevalent. Node was still very young at that time. So, I mean, there was next to no jobs, and PHP at the time was just easier to teach, a lot more documentation, a lot more prevalent, a lot more tested and proven. And then as the Node ecosystem has evolved, and now it's extremely prevalent out in the marketplace and online. You can find a gazillion tutorials, tons of documentation. Lots of places are now building newer projects in Node. One reference I always love to use is NASA uses Node for their rovers. which is very interesting. So little tidbit for you. So Node is also very useful for other things other than just servers. And coming back full circle to the original point is you're already learning JavaScript, and Node is JavaScript just outside of a browser. So you're not having to learn a whole new language, as Tim already pointed out. So it was a very easy and smart choice for us to ultimately make, moving away from PHP to just do strictly Node. And if you could understand Node and understand the server-side concepts, picking up PHP down the road if you needed to should be pretty much a snap.
Yeah, we have several alumni who are like, I'm thinking about applying to this job, but they are asking for PHP and we covered Node. And then so I give them a little packet of starter things, like a quick start thing. And I'm like, okay, so remember that concept in Node that you learned? This is how you do it in PHP. Remember this other concept that you learned? This is how you do it in PHP. And I have a couple of write-ups and like a quick tutorial and a getting started guide. And they're like, sweet, thanks. And then at their job application or interviews, they're like, okay, the interviewer's like, okay, so you know backend and you know some PHP. So they usually don't get dinged on that because it's more about the concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to, mention that Zia was going to be hopping into his prep class at 7 o'clock. So if anybody has questions about data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, Python, this would be a good time to get those covered. And once again, for anybody who's not comfortable hopping on, the mic, you're more than welcome to type those questions into, the bottom section. Zia, something that I think, people might be interested in hearing is what are the kinds of projects, that the data science course is going to be building?
Sure. Yeah, teacher, so I can talk about the projects, but do you want to give people another minute, maybe, if they have anything else that they want to talk about? I can certainly talk about the projects, what we are going to cover in there. Okay, let me start with that, and then people might have other questions. Okay, so the project. So our goal in this data science bootcamp is when you do data science. You need to have the hard skills. So you need to know how to code, and you need to know how to do a little bit of statistics and linear algebra. Outside of that, those two hard skills that you need, the third skill that you really need is actually knowledge of the business or knowledge of the industry. And that knowledge usually people get when they start their first job. So I'm working in a healthcare company. Now I start to understand the healthcare data. Now I'm working in a hotel, so I start to understand the entertainment industry. And now I'm working in transportation, so I start to understand the transportation industry. Our goal in this program is that we take projects, and overall you will do 10 plus projects in that 12 weeks, so pretty much a project a week. And we will take projects from different verticals. So you will do a financial services project. So that will give you an idea of what kind of data is involved in a financial services industry. So what is a FICO score? What do banks look at when they give you credit lines? What are they looking at? You will do projects on healthcare. You will do projects on transportation industry. How do people look at different logs? How do people look at social media? So when people are looking at Twitter tweets, what are they looking at? And what kind of data do you get from a Twitter tweet? So you will do projects on different industries. And the goal is that whatever those 5 or 6 verticals are that are more used or you find more jobs, and we will cover those verticals within that bootcamp. And yes, there will be some projects. You might do 2 projects on financial industry. You might do a couple of projects on social media or natural language understanding or processing. But we'll try to cover these 5, 6 basic healthcare, transportation, advertising and sales, social media, financial, those kind of, and stock market. So those kind of industries for sure. Does that kind of answers that, TJ?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's really cool too that, people get a chance to, do projects that either they're already have experience in that industry, they're maybe passionate about, but then at the same time, you're kind of pushing people outside of their comfort zone, maybe with other industries that they haven't been exposed to. Because one of the biggest values of a boot camp, and one of the things we try to do, here at LearningFuze, is we want to push you as far as you can. We want to encourage you to take these risks and get out of your comfort zone, but then do it in a supportive environment, because growth only happens when you're out of your comfort zone. And when you go into the job market, as Tim, told the story of, is you're going to get questions about technologies or industries that you haven't worked with before. And, there's occasionally maybe an industry that you're not excited about, and maybe you don't feel comfortable in. But more often than not, you kind of want to say, ooh, that seems exciting. I can learn something from, this space. And you kind of want to go in there, see how you feel about it before just making that assumption that, oh, it's Twitter. Oh, I don't like Twitter. I don't like social media. Well, when you dive into that data from the tweets, you're like, oh, wait, maybe I should launch my Twitter account back up again, just so I can analyze these people and what they're saying and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Any other questions or things that people wanted to get covered? So we've covered, the curriculum so far, a little bit of the projects that are going to be, worked on.
Can you go into the projects for the web development full immersion program?
Yeah, definitely. Cody, you want to start first?
For sure. Yeah, I could talk about the stuff that you'll do in the first half of the program. So in the first 7 weeks, we do a lot of foundational learning of concepts, and that really takes up the bulk of the time. We do have a couple of projects that you'll do. We do our first project in week 4, and then we'll do another project in week 6. The first one is a journal application. So you'll be building out what we call the code journal, and essentially just creating posts that include an image and some description of the image, and then the ability to edit those posts that you've created, delete them, really just kind of getting the feel for CRUD operations, which CRUD is a acronym we use that stands for create, read, update, delete. They're the main operations that you would end up doing with data most of the time. So that's kind of our first pass at that, as well as just kind of designing how your data will be stored and things like that. The app itself is pretty trim, but the process is kind of bringing all of these concepts that we've learned up until that point and leaving it to you to actually use them, which is a pretty big jump. So we do that, and that project takes place over the course of a week. And then after that, we dive into some further deeper dive JavaScript stuff, leading up to the second project, which will be dealing with network requests. So what we would usually call asynchronous JavaScript, sending off a request and then waiting to do something until you get back a response. And in order to do that, we do a project where you'll come up with an idea on your own that is utilizing public APIs. API is a tool that stands for Application Program Interface. And essentially what it does is it just gives you the ability to interact with the functionality of a tool with a set of tools that were prepared by the person who made that technology so that you can use it in the way that they've prepared for you. There's a lot of those out there in the public that you can make use of and get some free data. And a lot of them have, like, for instance, a set of data that starts out free and then you move into more pay if you ask for like a bunch of stuff. One of the ones I always mention is Google Maps. Google Maps has a public API. And if you've ever seen a Google map on a website that isn't google.com, then you've seen a usage of the Google Maps API. They are asking for permission from Google to use their Maps service, passing forward the data that they want to be used and then getting back the map itself. So for that second project, you'll be making use of at least one public API and making an application that makes use of the data from that. We make it very strict that you're not generating your own data. The point is to work with data that is coming from an API. So the feature set for that app tends to be pretty trim. just because you're working with a limited set of data that it's not under your control, but it's your first pass at actually doing those network requests, which is a big step up in terms of the operations of making an app. So that's the other one that we do on junior side. And then there's a bunch of other little things that we do that I wouldn't necessarily consider full projects, but they're like testing your ability. We call them challenges. And it's something like, you know, here's a picture of a website, build this layout. And here's a couple of links to stuff that might be useful, documentation that you can consult while you build this, some things that might parlay well into what we're doing. But those are usually given and like worked on over the course of a day, and then you continue to work on it over time. So full scale projects, we have 2 junior side, and then a bunch of challenges that we work through. And then, you know, a bunch of exercises that are covering a bunch of new topics. So that's the junior side in terms of projects. Tim, you want to talk about what you do senior side?
Yeah, no problem. So senior side, we basically have a ton of technology to cover. And then the entire time we're working on, I think Cody also mentioned this, there are tiny like mini projects that we have throughout both junior side, that's the first half of the program, and senior side. And we are also covering like, you know, web development workflow in each of these projects, like professional level web development workflow. And then you start working on your final project planning. And the last couple of weeks are, well, almost the last couple of weeks are dedicated to working on your final project. And we talk about what does it mean to break things down into features, and what does it mean to plan a project so that you'll actually finish it. And then how do we actually organize our workflow on something like GitHub, for example. And once everybody's final projects are good to go, and that's like case by case basis, people get approved to begin on their final project. So so we have, for projects, we have the code journal, which is like sort of like an assignment type project. We have the Ajax project that Cody mentioned, and that's a custom solo project. And then right after that, or maybe it's right before that, we have like a group hackathon that we do for a day. And then when you do your final project, that's also a solo project. And that way, by the end of the program, you have a nice portfolio of stuff to show.
Yeah, exactly what Tim said. The goal is to have, you know, at least 2 projects on there. And one of the changes that we made between, you know, last year and this year is that those 2 projects are projects that you come up with completely on your own. You build it, you know, on your own. One of the nice parts from the employer side of building a solo project is that they don't have to figure out whose code or who wrote certain pieces of the project. I got a lot of employers who were like, yeah, this looks cool, but what did they do on this? And unfortunately, they end up kind of leaning towards, you know, resumes and stuff where they can just make it quick and easy too. So great question, Ryan. And, you know, as Cody and Tim mentioned, there's a couple other little things. Yeah, Zia?
Sorry, I was just going to say that I apologize, guys. I have to sign off. I do have to take that session. Welcome again. Thank you very much. And nice seeing you all, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks for joining us, Zia.
Thank you, Zia.
Thank you, guys. Talk later.
Thanks. See you soon. Cool. Any other questions?
Sorry, guys, I have to join Zia's class, so I have to leave too.
Yeah.
Bye,
no worries. Have a good one,
guys.
Del.
We
What
got a
about
question
version?
from Agile.
I have a question.
Sweet.
What about version control?
We do that. Yeah. We do version control with Git.
Day one.
Day one.
Day one.
Class day one.
You can't even turn in your work if you don't do it with Git. Yeah, we do
It's
it.
gonna hurt at first too. Git is a hard tool to learn. There's a lot of moving pieces, and I think one of the things that makes it so difficult is that when you do something slightly wrong, then everything breaks. So early on, it's basically a moment-to-moment wake-up call for students that they need to be reading things more closely. But yeah, we do version control right from the beginning. It's going to be tough for the first few weeks, maybe even the first like month or so. But by the end of the program, you'll be pretty darn literate when it comes to version control, specifically through Git. And we also do GitHub. So GitHub is just Git hosted in a website. So we're still using Git, but we use GitHub so that you can have your work in the cloud. So it's not just local to your system, just in case anything happens to your computer. It's also a really common tool used in development. So win-win.
Yeah, Jonathan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask what you were describing about the project for full-time. Is it the same for part-time or is there any difference?
There's a couple slight differences, but it's 90% the same. Some of the little smaller exercises get trimmed just because of time constraints. Although the part-time program takes place over a longer period, there's slightly less actual in-class hours. So to fit everything in, there's a couple less of some of the smaller mini projects, but all the major projects are the same in both part-time and full-time.
And then Scott, we had a question about part-time hours.
So part-time hours are Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 6:30 to 9:30. So 3 hours a night on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Did I say Friday last time? It's Thursday.
Right. Yeah, the Thursday.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so one more time, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 6:30 to 9:30 for a total of 9 in-class hours a week. So, and it is very important to understand that it does take some dedication on your part to work past those 9 hours. You'll have to work on the days that there aren't class as well to be able to keep up with the curriculum. I think on the website we say about a 20-hour a week commitment, and that's pretty accurate, including instruction time.
Thanks for asking, Sergio.
Great question.
And then question for you, TJ, is there a time limit on career services?
There is not. So for full-time, full immersion, remote and in person, same thing with data science and same thing with part-time, classes, you have full access to the career services. And, our belief is that this is career services. This isn't job search services. We are going to help you in the job search, but once you get that first job, it's not, the end of our relationship. And we love it actually when students come back, because what it means is, of course, they're growing in their career. And it also gives us an opportunity to continue to support, our hiring partners who, do reach out about the roles where they were hoping to find somebody with 1, 2, or 3 years of experience. And then if anybody's familiar with the flywheel, it creates another opening likely with those other hiring partners where one of our recent graduates might be able to step into that new opening that was created. So yeah, great question, Cass. That is one of those things that, we do a pretty deep dive into on the career services side. Cass does, I don't know, Cass anywhere from 5 to 15 revisions of resumes sometimes.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better, a lot more streamlined, but yeah, typically I would say in terms of minutes is how long, basically you have your first draft, and for me, it would typically take me about 30 minutes, up to 30 minutes to send you the video recording of any suggestions or updates. But with each revision, it does get shorter in terms of what needs to be updated or is recommended to be updated. Yeah, so yes. And another thing is your resume is it's a living document in terms of, you're always living, and hopefully you're continuing to refine your career and your professional development. So you should always be updating your resume, right? So you will have unlimited revisions. Yes.
Cool. We've touched upon a little bit of everything. Anything that y'all or, anybody we're hoping to get covered and, maybe we've missed so far? Of course, we're all, available, whether it's LinkedIn, and you want to reach out, and connect there, whether it's, reaching out through the contact us form. Many of you have already been emailing back and forth with us, which, is something we keep an eye on. And, heck, even if you're, thinking about, different options and trying to decide between web development and data science, or trying to decide between full immersion and part-time, or heck, maybe coding is so new to you that you're like, I don't even know if I like it yet. We have a ton of resources that we can share, and our mindset, and kind of philosophy with a lot of this is that, with the right focus and right attitude, just about anybody can do it. Now, we aren't going to sugarcoat it and tell you that it's going to be easy, because that would be very misleading and that would be unfair to you. But we are going to be transparent, and supportive through the process, because once you make that commitment, to come to this program, we are, committed to you as well. So, yeah, feel free to, continue to stay in touch and reach out. And, if you sign up for the prep class or join the program, you end up in the Slack community, and, sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but there's a lot of discussions going on there. And it's really cool to see the energy that both the current students and, the graduates have. It looks like Sharjeel posted a question about the program. If you're referring to the full immersion, the next full immersion class start date is June 21st. But the first step for either the full immersion or the part-time is actually to sign up and take our prep class. The prep class is free if you've attended, this event. So you can go in there and sign up for that. I will post the link right now. And all you need to do is type in info session in the dropdown, choose that option, and you can ignore the final payment. But that prep class starts on June 3rd. So you're definitely going to want to get signed up for that. It's also a great opportunity to really see if this is the right fit for you. You get an opportunity to work with Tim and learn a little bit about kind of, once again, that, as Ryan brought up, version control and submitting homework, and, how to ask questions, and what, if you end up taking the one of the remote classes, what a virtual classroom looks like, and, kind of the projects and stuff that you're going to build. But it is very surface level. It's you're dipping your toes in, but considering the fact that it's free, it's always a great place to start, whether you end up taking, once again, the full immersion or the part-time.
I also dropped the link for the Intro to Data Science course if you are interested in data science. Like TJ said before, just put the info session option, and then you can ignore the payment request. But yeah, like I said, if you are interested in data science, that is also a good opportunity to, see how Zia teaches, right? And be able to see potential students that might be in your cohort if you're planning to join the full immersion.
Awesome. Okay. Any final questions? Cool. Well, once again, thanks for coming. Great to see some familiar faces here. And, I imagine we'll see more of you guys. And, Sharjeel and Ali, thank you for joining us. And, hopefully, you got your questions answered, and, having, been in contact with, Cass and our team, feel free to follow up with anything else, that comes to mind. And heck, if we need to, we can even set up a 15-minute call, or another, chance to chat and, kind of dive into some more of the details. So drive safe, Ali. Hopefully the traffic isn't too bad, and we will see all of you later. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for
See you
coming.
soon.
Thanks.
Have a